The United States is facing increasing criticism after announcing it will halt funding to the World Health Organization. World leaders, politicians and infectious disease experts have condemned the move as the global COVID-19 death toll exceeds 128,000.
当前全球疫情形势严峻，正处于关键时刻。美方这一决定将削弱世卫组织的能力，损害国际抗疫合作。
United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres says now is not the time to reduce the WHO's resources. He's called on the international community to work together to fight the virus. The European Union's top foreign policy representative has denounced the US decision. Josep Borrell says there is no justification for the move. Elsewhere, there have been other declarations of support for the WHO.
At a time like this, where we need to be sharing information, where we need to have advice that we can rely on, the World Health Organization has provided that, and we will continue to support it, and we will continue to make our contribution.
While I have many criticisms of the WHO, and most significantly the unfathomable decision that they've had about wet markets, to be sanctioning that is just completely mystifying to me. But that said, the WHO also as an organisation does a lot of important work, including here in our own region in the Pacific, and we work closely with them.
The American Medical Association has urged President Trump to reconsider his decision. It says halting funding is a dangerous step in the wrong direction that will not make defeating the virus any easier. Bill Gates says the organization is slowing the spread of COVID-19 and no other agency can replace it during this global health crisis. The United States is the biggest contributor to the WHO, last year contributing more than $400 million. Mr. Trump has accused the agency of mismanaging and covering up the spread of the virus. And this comes as he continues to aggressively defend his own handling of the outbreak.
The United States has a duty to insist on full accountability. One of the most dangerous and costly decisions from the WHO was its disastrous decision to oppose travel restrictions from China and other nations. They were very much opposed to what we did. Fortunately, I was not convinced and suspended travel from China, saving untold numbers of lives. Thousands and thousands of people would have died.
Now for more on this, Simon Marks joins us live from Washington, D.C. Simon, Mr. Trump is facing a lot of backlash. What does he gain from pulling funding?
Well, Steve, if you've kept your eye on Donald Trump over the last 3 years, you'll know that there's not much Donald Trump enjoys more than being a lone voice on the world stage on any particular issue. It was just a few weeks ago that he was the only world leader out there proposing to reopen his country right after the Easter holidays, an idea, of course, that he then abandoned. He's now the only world leader on the world stage proposing to defund the World Health Organization. What he gains out of this, and you heard it there in that clip of Donald Trump speaking at last night's White House briefing, is the creation of a straw man that he can blame for difficulties that many of his critics say lie right at his door. Donald Trump faults the World Health Organization for failing to have been transparent and for failing to have questioned whether China was being sufficiently transparent as coronavirus first developed. It was Donald Trump who at the end of January on Twitter praised President Xi Jinping and used the word transparency to describe what the Chinese at the time, he said, were engaged in. It's Donald Trump, of course, who is accused of not having taken sufficient action in the United States to save lives early enough. He is now going to argue that it was other people that were to blame, in this case the World Health Organization, Democrats running their own states here in the United States. He wants to issue blame, and he is creating, in the form of the World Health Organization, a target.
All right, Simon, and in those past 3 years, the president has also often flip-flopped on issues. So what are the chances that he might change his mind this time?
Look, there's every possibility, Glenda, because we don't exactly know the details of what President Trump announced yesterday. Yes, he says he's going to halt funding temporarily to the World Health Organization while some kind of review is conducted into the future of American funding of that organization. We don't know who's heading up that review. We don't know who's part of the group that will be consulted about the activities of the World Health Organization, and so we don't know the outcome of all of this, but we do know that Democrats up on Capitol Hill, and remember they control the House of Representatives, they are going to have a voice in all of this, are implacably opposed to the idea of defunding the World Health Organization. They accede to the idea that the World Health Organization is an imperfect body, but they, like so many others, do not believe now is the time to pull money, not least because they fear that would propel the organization into the warm embrace of China and only increase Chinese influence over the body. So there's going to be a protracted conversation about this, and you are absolutely right. It doesn't inevitably end with America pulling all of its funding from the Geneva-based organization.
All right, thanks for that. Simon Marks speaking to us from Washington, D.C.